Hello, guys, and welcome back to Vally of Shadows Paranormal Podcast. We're here with Katt today. I'm your host, Matt, with co-host with the most.
Hello.
She's coughing. She got the COVID-18, so just kidding. Today, I believe she has more stories for you guys.
3 stories from when I was little.
Yeah, she was like a tadpole or something. How little? What ages?
I would say 12 to 13 because it was when I was in middle school.
Okay.
So yeah, my uncle lives on a ranch still to this day. But when I was in middle school, on where he lived, it was just his house, and then one house at the one end of the street and another at another end of the street. So it was just his house and those 2 other houses there. So no one else really lived there at the time.
And where is it?
It's on mile 3 in Iowa, I think.
He lives in Iowa?
Iowa Road.
Oh, sorry. Where's that?
Mission.
Is here?
Yes, yeah.
I don't know.
But, well, back then it was just him and other, like, those 2 other houses. And across the street from him was, like, an orange field.
Oranges?
Yeah. So those oranges were actually, like, picked up by, you know that factory that's by the highway? That you can always smell, like, oranges burning and stuff?
They burn oranges?
Yeah, they burn them there. Like
Why?
Because they burn the peels when they're done juicing them to make, like, the orange juice, grapefruit juice and stuff.
Apple juice.
That company grew those orange trees across my uncle's house, so they would constantly go and pick them and stuff, right?
Man, how do you know all this?
So, well, because I lived there as a kid.
Okay.
But yeah, so we used to play in between the orange trees and stuff.
You would like run through them?
Yeah, we would run through them, grab oranges that were on the floor, like that had already fallen, and throw them at each other.
Yeah.
So we would call them like orange fights, whatever.
Orange fights.
So it was me, my older sister, my brother, my little sister, and 2 of our cousins. And we were all playing there because we would run around. So it was just the 6 of us. And between the orange trees, like, there was gap enough between each tree to where you could see each other through the rows of trees. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've been.
So we were running, throwing oranges, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then my 2 cousins decided to go home because, you know, they lived across the street. And we lived with them at the time. And they went home because my cousin, who's like 2 months younger than me, he had fallen and scraped his leg on thorns because the orange trees had thorns.
They do?
Yeah, and so they're like, when the oranges would fall, sometimes they would fall with like branches, so they had thorns. So he had tripped over the little, I don't know if you've ever seen how people garden, but you know how the dirt is like raised up in like little rows?
It's like...
So it would be like a long row of dirt and then the trees, and then another one and then the trees.
Yeah.
So he tripped over one of those piles of dirt and scraped his leg on thorns.
Ow.
So his older brother was like, you know what, let's go home so we can clean it up, put band-aids, whatever, right?
Yep.
So we're like, well, we're still gonna play, because it was us siblings, right? Us 3 girls and my brother. And we were already getting tired of being there by ourselves, right? So my older sister was like, you know what, let's go home. But we were like really deep into the trees where you can barely see my uncle's house.
Damn, you went in there.
So we started walking, and me and my little sister were on one side of a row of trees, and then my older brother and sister were on the other side, but we could see each other. And out of nowhere, we were in one row, and then there was 2 rows of empty, like, trees, and then the 4th row was my siblings, you know?
Yeah.
So we could see each other, but there was 2 rows of trees between us. So we see someone just run by us really fast.
Damn.
And we were just like, what was that? So we all ran to each other, you know, for safety. And my brother's like, you know what, let's go see what it was. But then my older sister noticed that there weren't any footprints.
Oh no.
And that dirt was like really soft dirt, so
yeah, soft soil.
So any step, even if you were running really fast, would leave a print, you know?
I mean, especially when you're running, because it'd be like deep.
So there was no prints except ours. So my brother's like, that's not possible. And we all saw it. And they already knew, like, I could see things and stuff, right? So they were like, do you think it was, like, a spirit or something? And I told my brother, I'm like, it could be. And the most we saw of it, when we saw it just run by, was that it had jeans and like a red shirt. Like we could see the blue jeans, you know, and like a swoosh of red. So we obviously knew it had a red shirt.
Oh, okay.
So we were just like, you know what, let's just go home. So we ran across the street to my uncle's and like never spoke of it again. And that leads to the second story. So the second story, us kids, you know, it was my 2 cousins with their older brother, and then us 4, which is my sister, my brother, and my little sister. And there was like this canal, I don't know if you know what that is, right? So there was like this little river, and we used to swim in it, and it was right behind
You swam in there?
Yeah, it was right behind the tree groves.
That's gross.
Yeah, I know, but we were kids, whatever, you know?
Yeah, you get it.
But we were just sitting around it with our feet in the water, whatever, just chilling. And we heard a lady crying. And remember, I said there was no other houses. And the closest houses other than the 2 at each end of the street were like maybe like 15, 20 orange trees back. Like in the very deep in there. So we couldn't, if there was someone living there, we wouldn't have heard them. You know what I mean? Because it was so far away.
Yeah, like far.
And then my cousins were like, what was that? And back then, you know, our parents would say like, oh, don't come home late because La Llorona or whatever, right? So we were scared and we were like, you know what, let's leave. And we all started putting our shoes on and everything. And then we heard a baby crying.
No way.
Yeah, and it started getting louder and louder, like if it was coming towards us. And then we heard like the leaves shaking in the trees. So we all got scared and ran for it.
Bro, I would have flew away.
And it was just crazy.
That's scary. Like, that's just freaky as hell. I'm going.
And I mean, like, there was no other houses except those other 2. And we knew for a fact that the lady that lived at the right end, she had no kids. It was just her husband, and a nephew of hers that lived there.
He was crying.
And then the people on the other end, on the left side, they had kids, but they were teenagers already. They weren't babies.
There was no babies around, apparently.
So it was just, it creeped us out really bad.
I bet. Jeez.
And then another one is, it was me, my older sister, her friend Bianca, and a friend of theirs named Adrian, who we would call Alien, because that was his nickname or whatever.
Sounds cool.
We were also standing by the canal, just hanging out. And the thing about that area was like, it was creepy because we could randomly would see like diapers buried in the ground, t-shirts, shoes, pants, belts. Sometimes we would even find like watches and rings and earrings and stuff like that. So we were like, where's all this stuff coming from? Like every time we would go through those orange trees, we would find a new piece of clothing or shoes or a sock or like, you know, something.
That's random.
So we were always like, okay, we know that nobody from, like, you know how they say the wetbacks or whatever, like they wouldn't go through there because there was no way for them to go through there. You know what I mean?
And that's like the first thing that came to mind. Like maybe you had traffic of like those people.
So we thought maybe it was that, but our uncle told us like, no, they've never come through here, like ever. Like where are you kids finding this stuff? So we had showed him once, and he's like,
you took it with you?
No, we went and showed him. We went back across the street to show him.
I would not take that home.
And he was like, I don't understand why this stuff is here. And it was like buried in the ground. Like if someone had left it there for years, like dirt was caked on and everything. But back to the like part of the story is we were hanging out there, and me being a preteen, I wanted to hang out with the big teenagers. And my sister wasn't having it. She didn't want me there.
You want to hang out with the cool kids.
Out of nowhere, we all got like a weird, eerie vibe. So we all turned around. And when we turned around, we saw a man in a red shirt with blue jeans. And that clicked in mine and my older sister's head. Like, we were like, we saw this person before. And this was like weeks, maybe even months after we had seen that. And her friend was like, who are you? Like, you stopped walking towards us. What do you want? And the guy didn't say anything. He just kept walking straight towards us. And he was walking from like far into the orange trees, but we could see clearly because it was daytime. And her friend, like I said, there was always random stuff around. So he actually dug out a glass bottle from the ground, I think, or it was probably a baseball bat. Like, that's another thing. We would find baseball bats, soccer balls, basketballs. Like, we didn't know where this stuff was coming from. It was so weird.
That is
but
interesting.
I can't remember if it was a glass bottle or a baseball bat, but he had gotten something off the ground and raised it up and told the guy to stop walking towards us. And he just kept coming. And it wasn't until he raised it really high where he was actually going to swing at the guy that we actually saw him just disappear.
Whoa.
Like, that was it. Like, he just vanished. And we were just like, what just happened? You know what I mean? And then my older sister told her friends, like, a few months ago, maybe weeks ago, like, we saw it. We just saw someone run past us, and we just saw the flash of red, and we saw jeans. And this dude was wearing, like, the red shirt, blue jeans, and boots. And even when he disappeared, there was no footprints when it happened again.
I mean, like, what age did he look like, you know?
Maybe his 30s.
So, like, a middle-aged man.
Yeah. And he was, like, really, like, brown, like, tan. So he looked like maybe he was one of those people that work outside. Like, so that's what we thought. We thought it was someone that was working the orange grove. You know, we thought he was one of the workers because every now and then we would see the workers there, like, with the sacks gathering the oranges. But he disappeared, like, out of, like, nowhere, like, thin air. So we were like, okay, that had to be, like, a spirit or something.
I'm getting, like,
you know what I mean?
I'm getting this, I don't know, like a vibe, or I don't know what you want to call it, but, like, I keep seeing, like, something keeps telling me these were workers, but they died, and I think they tried to get rid of their belongings.
Yeah, that's probably why we would always find stuff.
And that's why it was buried, because someone got rid of them. I don't know what happened, but they died. And they were murdered, probably thrown in that canal.
Probably, because when we told my mom about that instance, she told us to stop hanging out over there. Because she even told us, like, it could be someone that they killed, someone that drowned, or something. Because even when we would drive by with my mom's van, we would, because like I said, the trees were pretty spread out so that you could actually see through them. And we would see people, like, sitting at the edge of the canal, like workers, like, cooling off their feet or throwing water in their face, like, you know. So my mom was like, no, I don't want you guys playing over there anymore. Like, that could have been someone that they killed and got rid of. That's why you kids keep finding clothes. My mom was even like, maybe that's why you guys found those baby shoes. Like, we found baby shoes. You know how there's those bonnets that they put on babies, the little hat? We found one of those ones, and it had blood stains on it. We didn't pick it up, but we saw it there, like, just laying there.
That's the vibe I got too.
And my uncle, I think my uncle had gotten in contact with the city or the county or whatever, and told them, like, hey,
go check this out.
My nieces, my nephews, my kids keep finding these things. They found something with blood. We even found a knife once, and it had, like, it looked like it was rusted, but my uncle, like, he's a hunter. He knows what blood looks like on a knife.
It's old blood.
So when we took him there to look at the stuff that we were finding, which we didn't touch, because me being the person I am, I would tell my cousins and my siblings, don't touch it, because you could bring something to our house. Like, we're already potentially risking bringing something to our house, like, being there, you know, and being around the stuff.
Yeah.
And so they wouldn't touch nothing, thankfully. But when my uncle saw it, like, he picked it up with, like, a glove that he had, because he always had latex gloves, because he would do stuff for a feed store. So he would put, like, medicines and stuff in bottles. So he had some at home, and he picked it up, and he's like, that's not rust, that's blood. And it was, like, one of those knives that has the little dents in it, you know, the grooves.
A serrated blade?
Yeah, a serrated blade. Yeah. And one time we even found, like, a throwing star there for some reason.
Like a Chinese star? A shuriken? What the hell?
Yeah, and then one of my other cousins found, like, a machete that was, like, looked like it got cracked. Like, they hit something really hard with it and it cracked. Yeah. We would find a lot of stuff there. Like I said, we would even find watches and bracelets and earrings and...
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and when my uncle contacted the county, like, they went and they dug up stuff. Those orange trees aren't there no more. They cut them down, all of them.
Yeah, like a lot of those orange lands, like whatever, they don't even exist no more.
Yeah.
There used to be some.
Like they cut those down because of the stuff we were finding.
Oh, okay. Well,
Like they actually came and were like, you know what, we're gonna cut them all down. Like we're not gonna let no one work here or whatever. Like, we'll investigate. I don't know if anything ever came of it because by the time he did all that stuff, we were living in Utah already. So I don't know what happened. I've never asked.
you should.
Maybe I should.
You should try to go into like the news archives and kind of just go back and see if they ever made like an article about it.
I remember it was around like 2007 to 2009. Yeah,
I think I'm gonna look into that later. See if there was some kind of...
we would find a lot of stuff. Like, we would even find, like, diapers, like, used diapers, like, rolled up and, like, left there. So I don't know.
Maybe it could have been, like, a dumping ground, too. Like, maybe people didn't know what to do with their stuff, so they just dumped it at the canal.
Yeah, that's what my aunt said.
But we're, like, thinking the worst.
But I mean, we would even
But you saw people. You saw that apparition or whatever it was. So
and that wasn't the only one we had seen there. We had also seen a lady. And then we heard that lady crying and a baby crying.
Yeah, there's that, too.
So we were like, yeah, it has to be, like, people that
Something
either worked
happened.
there and got murdered or died.
Like, both, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, just
It
both.
was,
Could be
like,
both.
Just remembering it gives me like the creeps.
I kinda got the chills
like,
too. Once you brought up
how,
that baby, I was just like, ugh.
No, it was. That's the one that gets me because there was no other people that lived there. You know what I mean? So that freaked us out really bad.
Yeah, like for real. Like
yeah, and then like I have a lot of stories of his like property. Like there's even one. When we lived in their house before we had our trailer house that we put next to their house. Because my grandpa, remember I told you there's like a street named after him in La Jolla? It's Perales Martinez. But my grandpa had bought that land where my tio's house was. So he had split it between all his kids. So it was my dad, his two brothers, and my tia. So the property next to my uncle on the right side of him, the right side of him, was ours. So my dad was saving up money to buy a trailer house to put there for us to live in. So while he was saving, we were living with my uncle. And so in my uncle's house, it was like his porch right outside. Then it was the living room, his room. And then behind the living room was my cousin's room that he shared with his two brothers because we were living there. And then it was my mom and dad's room. And behind the wall of my mom and dad's room, there was a door that led into another bedroom. That's where me, my brother, my little sister, and my older sister were sleeping. And then there was, on the back of our rooms to the left, there was another restroom, and then a door that led to the back of their house. And in back of their house, there was an area where we had like this really huge picnic table that could fit at least 50 people.
Damn, that's huge.
Because my family loved to cook out when we were younger. I mean, we still do sometimes, but when we used to all get together, like, we would have parties, right?
Yeah.
And then my uncle's property, like, in the back, it was that table, right? And then, like, a little pavilion that he made so that we could hang out and cook out. And then behind that, there was, like, this pathway that would lead more down. And that's where he had all his roosters because he would do the cockfights. And down there, he never wanted us down there at night because my uncle, he can deny it all he wants, but I feel like he could see things ever since him and my dad experienced that horse, you know?
Oh, yeah.
It's that uncle. So we wouldn't go back there at night, like all the way down to the other area. But me and my cousin had stayed up playing, I don't know what Mario Party it was, but it was on the Nintendo 64. So it might have been 1 or 2.
1, 2, or 3.
And so we were playing, and my dad and my uncle would barbecue, and sometimes they would stay up drinking until like 2, maybe 3 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
And me and my cousin were playing Mario Party, and we heard my dad and my uncle call out to both of us. We heard, Johnny, Kathy. So we're like, okay, what do they want? And we looked at the time and it was 2 in the morning, like 2:30 something in the morning. So their back door, which is where that would lead to the back of the house, it never, like, it was a door that wouldn't lock. So what we would do is we would close the door, and then there was like this beam that we would put on the door to keep it closed.
Oh, old school.
Yeah, well, and well, my tia was very paranoid that like things would happen because we would hear gunshots at night, cars passing by, like stuff like that. And that other area that I told you that my uncle didn't like us going to, there was a house behind there, like a little farther away, but we could see it. So that was another neighbor of his that was there. I just didn't remember till right now, but those people, yeah, those people were people that he didn't trust. So that's why at night we would do that, because he was scared that those people would do something to us. So we know that that's like something we're supposed to do. We're supposed to put that beam to lock the door. So when me and him came, we were like, why is the door wide open? And the screen door was the only door that will actually lock, not the actual door, but the screen door would. And it was locked. And when we looked out, my uncle had this like one light outside, just one. And it was at the side of his house. So if he didn't have the light where his pavilion was on, you could still see body shapes because of the other light. So we saw two bodies sitting across each other at the table. And they looked like our parents. They looked like my dad and his dad. So we're like, yeah, what did you guys want? And my tío goes, come over here. And when he said that, I got chills, like go up my spine. My cousin was about to unlatch the screen door when I grabbed his hand. And I go, no. I go, that's not your dad. That's not my dad. And he goes, they're calling us. And I go, no, it's not them. He goes, yeah, it is. Who else is it going to be? And I'm like, don't open the door. He's like, whatever. And he goes, what do you want, Dad? And he goes, come over here now. And I told him, I was like, don't. And he's like, oh, I'm going to see what my dad wants. I'm not like you. I don't, like, not listen to my dad or whatever, right? So the minute that he unlatched it, they stood up and started walking towards us. Yeah, like I said, I'm getting chills remembering it. But yeah, so they started walking towards us, and that's when my cousin was like, that's not my dad. So he closed it, latched it, we slammed the door, put the beam on, and then I told him, he's like, how did you know it's not our parents? And I go, because. And I go, I know my dad, he's asleep in his room. He goes, no, he's not. And I go, yes, he is. And my mom and dad's room didn't have a door. It was just like the frame and a curtain. So I moved the curtain. My mom was still up watching TV, but it was more of like that. You know how when you're watching TV late at night and you're kind of like asleep, but you're watching TV? It was like that. Like she was sitting up against the wall, but like kind of about to pass out. Yeah. And my dad was asleep. And his parents used to stay up all 8 hours of the night. So we ran to his parents' door, started knocking on it. My tia opens the door and she's like, what's going on? And I'm like, where's Tío? And then he's like, get me high. And I look in and he's sitting on his bed watching TV.
Oh boy.
So it wasn't them. And we told her what happened. And at the time she had this like little mini window that you could look out and see in the back. And when she looked out, she saw two shadows just like run off.
Yikes.
Yeah. It was
that's
so scary.
Crazy, man.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I thought your other stories, you're getting worse. And this is like a long time ago stuff.
Yeah. And then like, I have two other ones. One was when we were already in high school. And I used to stay over at their house a lot. And this was already when we lived at the house we're at now.
Oh, okay.
And I was maybe a sophomore. Yeah, so 10th grade. I was staying with my cousin and we were up watching movies because it was like the week of Halloween. So we were watching scary movies. And I told him, I need to take a shower because I'm really hot. And at my aunt's house, like, they didn't have central air. They didn't have ceiling fans. Like, that place was hot. Like, hot.
Like, stagnant.
Like, worse than it was at the concert today. Like, worse than that. That's how her house is.
Yeah, we had a concert today.
And so I told my cousin, like, I really, really need to take a shower. Like, I'm so sticky. Like, this is not okay. He's like, okay, let me turn on my AC. So he turned it on. And his room was the only room in the house that had a ceiling fan. So he turned that on too. And he's like, I'm going to keep watching the movie. So I'm like, okay. And we were watching The Grudge.
Oh man,
So,
I hate those movies.
I had the brightest idea because at the time, like the way you know me now with my hair, like it's long, right? Well, my hair when we were in high school was all the way behind my knees. So that was like long. And you know how the girl in The Grudge has like that really long hair? Kind of like the girl from The Ring?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I showered and back then my hair was more curly than it is now. And like wavy-ish. So I dried up my hair real good, but I made it look like really crazy. And I put it in front of my face.
Oh, you did that.
I crawled all the way to his room.
You freak.
His door was still kind of open, so he didn't hear me coming. And he's like in the part of the movie where the Grudge girl is like about to like jump at the screen. And right when, because I had seen that movie so many times, so I already knew when it was going to happen. So when it was going to happen in the movie, I jumped up and scared him at the same time. So it was the movie plus me. And he started freaking the hell out. And I flipped my hair back and I'm like, I'm so sorry, I had to. You know? And he's like, oh, you're such a bee. Like, I hate you. Like, can't believe you did that to me. You're so mean. And he's like, I freaking hate you so much. And he got off the bed because he was gonna turn on the light to look for a different movie because he's like, you scared me, I need to watch like a cartoon or something. And at that time, you know, Shrek had already come out, the first one, for like a year or so, or a couple years actually, but we were gonna watch it to like relax, right? Because I felt bad that I scared him. So when he got off his bed, he froze, and I was like, are you okay? And mind you, his bed was like yours, that much off the ground.
Yeah.
This is him standing like right here at the edge of the bed. And he was just like this. And I was like right there, like at the head of the bed.
Yeah, a few feet away.
Where his laptop was where we were watching the movie.
Okay.
And I go, what's wrong? Are you okay? And he just slowly turned to me and he's like, something is holding onto my foot. Like his ankle. And I go, dude, don't even start. Like, I'm sorry I scared you, like, enough. Yeah. And he's like, I'm serious. So I was starting to walk around to where he was, and all of a sudden it was cold. Like, cold.
Ice
and he had just turned on his AC, so his room wouldn't have been that cold yet. And I was like, starting to like shiver from how cold I felt. And I go, what the hell is that? And then he's like, I swear to God, something's grabbing my ankle. So I looked down at his feet. Sure enough, there's a hand around his ankle. And I told you, I'm like freaking out just remembering. And
that's like the worst nightmare.
Yeah.
Like,
and I start freaking out. What the heck? Because I can see it. And it's a pale hand. And I'm like, is this all in our heads because we were watching The Grudge? Like, I was freaking out, right? And my other cousin, his older brother, not the eldest, but one of the older brothers, he was in the living room area, which was where my parents' room was, but my aunt knocked down the walls and made it into like an open living room. He was there playing video games on the PS2, I think. Or maybe the PS3 at that time already. But he was playing video games, and we called out to him. So he came, and he's like, what's wrong with you guys? And we're like, come over here. And he's like, what? And he walked to where we were, and he's like, why is it so cold here? And I told him, I was like, something's grabbing onto Johnny. I saw a hand holding onto his ankle. I don't see it anymore, but can you please look under the bed and see if you see anything? Because we're freaking out. And he didn't know that that's the movie we were watching, by the way.
For some context.
Yeah. And we had already closed the laptop, so he wouldn't have even known that we were watching it. He gets on his knees. He's like, you know what? I'll do it. Like, whatever. I have the balls to look, whatever. So he bends down, kneels down on his knees and on his hands and looks under the bed, and he pushed himself backwards. And I'm like, what? And he's like, there's something under his bed. It's a girl. She's got long black hair, pale. I can't see a face, but there's someone under your bed. And when he said that, we were able to run to the light and turn it on and looked under his bed, and there was nothing. After that, we left the light on the rest of the night, and we put Shrek on a loop because you could do that back then on iTunes. If you had the code, you could put it on your iTunes and you could play it on repeat. So we did that, and it played all night, and that's how we fell asleep with the light on. And in the morning, his mom got mad that we had the light on all night. But that happened.
Damn.
And he didn't know we were watching that, so he wouldn't have even seen, like, it wouldn't already been in his brain to interpret it,
he wasn't
to see it.
influenced by it.
Yes.
Like you guys were.
Exactly.
So I tell people, you need to be careful when you watch stuff like that.
Yeah, because you can actually manifest it. And that's
why
scary.
I don't watch horror movies.
I love them.
No, what do you mean?
I like more slasher movies than horror.
Okay, those.
Right?
But when it comes to
like ghosts and stuff,
demons, and spirits of that nature, I will not watch that because you already inviting that, taking that willingly, getting that movie and putting it in your house or streaming it.
Yeah,
that's already an invitation saying, I want you in my house.
Like, I want to get scared.
I want you here. So they're going to be like, okay.
Yeah. So that was like,
that's why I tell people.
Just remembering it freaks me out.
Tell people, be careful what you watch, man. Especially anything to do with exorcisms.
Oh, yeah. I don't watch The Exorcist.
Don't watch,
like that.
Especially the first one, people.
Yes,
do not watch that movie.
No, and then we also saw that Pray for the Devil one with Zach or whatever it was called.
Why are you guys watching this?
Hold on, let me tell you. After we saw it, I went home and I was hearing like scratches on my wall, knocking on my wall, and I told Eric, I'm like, I can't sleep tonight. I just can't. And I go, the movie was good and everything, but like,
no, it wasn't.
Now I'm like freaking out, and he's like, oh, it's all in your head, and I go, that's for you to feel, not me. I go, I feel things differently than you do, and I'm just not.
I thought he would understand by now.
Right, you know, but Eric's, he doesn't care about that stuff, you know.
That's because that's his defense mechanism.
But it's ridiculous because things have happened to him too.
Yeah, but he tries to ignore it and blow it off.
Yeah,
and
like he brushes it off
and puts it in a funny way, like I don't care, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
But that's like a defense mechanism. But honestly, that's a good defense mechanism because it's called.
Because it prevents them from like
manifesting more. Because it's called starving your ghouls, which means the more you focus on them, the more they will act. You know.
Yeah.
The more they'll be there because you're feeding them that energy. It's just like the whole Freddy Krueger thing.
Oh, the nightmares.
Like the more you talk about him, the more you bring. He gets stronger and he'll come back. That's pretty much how this works.
That's why ever since we started this, like every time I talk about stuff with you, like something happens when I go home.
Maybe we should stop.
No, like not something bad. Like I'll hear like little like things, you know, like scratches, or I'll hear
that's
like
bad.
Yeah, but I mean like outside.
Doesn't matter. It's still.
I mean, I don't let it in. I ain't crazy.
It's there though. It's because.
No, but like.
Oh man, I feel bad for making you do this now.
No, I like it.
Well, I mean, I didn't make her, but
I joined.
She joined willingly.
I threw myself in it.
She's all in it.
No, but like, it's crazy. And I don't know if you've ever seen those TikTok videos where they show those faceless dolls that are like Raggedy Ann dolls, like they're made out of like that same material.
I mean, I've seen
Have
a
you
lot
ever
of
seen
weird
those
doll videos.
Well, there's these dolls that came out in like the 90s also that they had limbs, right, but you couldn't really move them. But they had the option of where like you could move the feet or you could move the hands, like you could choose what you wanted it to do. Well, my aunt had one that was dressed in like hip hop style, so it was wearing like coveralls or whatever, like the what are they called?
Oh, the
like,
overalls.
The overalls. There you go. It was wearing those. It had like a chain. It was wearing a striped shirt, and it had like little like bell bottom jeans kind of, and like these little red sneakers. The legs could move, but the arms couldn't. The arms were stretched out, and the face was knelt down like that, and it didn't have a face, and it had a little hat and curly hair. Well.
Oh, those.
Yes. Okay. She would always have that thing on her couch.
Yes.
Right?
I don't understand this thing about Mexican
in that living room
and
where it was.
Those dolls.
Yes. And in that living room where that doll was where we would play the 64. And it was on one of those little itty bitty square TVs, you know, the little, like, what was it, like 15, 20 inch, like these little itty bitty things. Well, me and my cousin, again, we were playing, what is it called, like Pac-Man Fever? I think it was like a GameCube game, or maybe PS2 game. But it was like a Pac-Man board game, kind of like Mario Party. And so we were playing that, and then we heard a giggle.
Oh, man.
And it was just me and him home, and my mom and my aunt. But my mom and my aunt were in the kitchen cooking. So we knew it wasn't them, and we were just like, what? Like, maybe it was something they were watching. Because my aunt had a TV, like a really small TV in the kitchen as well. So her and my mom could watch their telenovelas while they cooked. So we thought maybe it was that. So we're like, whatever, let's keep playing. So we're playing, and then we hear, hello?
Oh, man.
And I was just like,
Nope.
I got that chill, you know? So I know when I feel that, I know that it's something. And I tell my cousin, I'm like, don't turn around. I go, because I have an eerie ass freaking feeling that that doll's going to be facing us or something. And he goes, nah, not even. And I'm like, whatever. And then so we're playing. And then again we hear, I said hello. And so I'm just like, nope, I'm not gonna turn around. I'm not gonna turn around. No. And I'm like, just ignore it. Like we're okay. Just ignore it. It's daytime, whatever. So we're still playing, and then this is the good part.
Or the bad part.
I felt something grab my shoulder. And mind you, like I said, the arms would not move on that thing. Like they were stiff.
They're like this.
Because she only,
Like
they were like with the hands stretched out with the face between them.
Yeah, like I've seen this. My grandpa's girlfriend or whatever she was, caretaker. She lived with him. She had 2 of those.
They're creepy, right?
And they have no face, and they just like look like
they were just like knelt forward with their arms stretched out. Right?
I always ask them like, why are they like that? And like, oh, they're playing hide and go seek. Or
that's what they're called. They're called hide and go seek dolls.
Yeah.
And they can be dressed however you customize them to them.
Yeah, you can put whatever, like real clothes on them.
So only the legs move on those because they're supposed to supposedly play hide and go seek together. If you have 2.
Yeah, she had 2.
You'll see them randomly in the house, like wherever. Like those things were known to be haunted. Like they were made to do that or whatever.
Okay,
but my aunt only had 1.
Those are straight up.
So
demonic,
I think that's
bro.
why it was trying to get us to play with it. So like I said, I felt something grab my shoulder, and my cousin is looking at me with like that blank, terrified stare.
Like just cold.
Like I was just like, no, you know, like this is not happening. And I turned like to see what's grabbing me, and it's her doll. I jump up, flung it away from me, ran to my mom crying, and my mom and my aunt were like, what's going on? And we told them what happened, and then my aunt proceeds to say, oh yeah, she does that sometimes. Yeah.
Okay, because that's normal.
Right? Apparently there was a doll that accompanied that doll, but my aunt gave it to a niece of hers or something. So that's why she says that it wants to play because it doesn't have its partner or whatever. Like the accompanying friend. Yeah, so after that, anytime I would see that her doll was in the living room area, I wouldn't be in there.
Yeah, I would do the same thing.
I was like, nope.
I would stay away from those damn things.
That thing was terrifying.
Yeah, I always had a weird feeling about those things.
Yeah.
I would see them and I'd just be like, that's not normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's creepy.
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
And that's because I didn't even know any of the stuff you just told me right now, but I had a vibe like these
like
things.
that's what I was talking about, yeah.
Yeah, like I know these things ain't normal.
They're not. And
they're
then,
cursed.
Like my aunt literally told us, like, yeah, that's what they do. Like they're called hide and seek dolls, and when you leave them somewhere, you find them somewhere else or something like that. Because supposedly they come alive, you play hide and go seek, and you're supposed to go find them. And it's true though, because there was plenty of times where I would walk by the living room and I would see it in there, and I'd be like, yeah, I'm not going in there. I would go into the kitchen, wash my hands, or get a snack, and it would end up at the kitchen table, or it would be sitting like with it like leaned up against the wall on their secondary restroom, or it would end up in my aunt's room. There was even times where I was home alone, and I would hang out outside because I was like, I'm not going to be in that
I'm
house
not
alone.
going inside.
Yeah. I was like, nope, not going to happen.
Well, that's why you were outside all the time.
Yeah, as a
all
kid,
the
I was
messed up
always
stuff
outside.
happened inside your houses.
Yeah.
I mean, well, technically outside too, but
Well, yeah, but
like you're in the wide open spaces. You feel more safe, I guess, secure. Like you can get away from it. But like when you're inside a an enclosure,
like it's scarier.
it's worse.
You got nowhere to run.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Until you go outside.
And then like when we got our trailer house finally, like when we were living there, my dad, he had left for work because he was an oil field worker. So he was gone for 3 months. And so it was just my mom, me, my older sister, my little sister, and her friend Bianca. She would stay at our place sometimes because she was dating my cousin. And if she wasn't sleeping at his house, she was sleeping at ours. And one night, and my dad had made like a custom porch for the trailer so that we could hang out with a table that he made himself, and there was a barbecue pit so he could barbecue, and we had a volleyball net, and he had bought like sand to make it like more
like
beach-like, yeah, authentic. And so my sister and her older sister are just chilling at the table, and my dad wasn't here. He had already been gone for 2 out of the 3 months, and my mom would stay up late to wait for his phone call because he was working in Utah. So the time difference is I think we're 2 hours ahead or behind.
I don't know.
I think it might be ahead. So she was waiting for him to call, and I go, hey mom, can I go outside? And she's like, yeah, go for it. So I was like, okay. But then I noticed that my sister and her friend were there, and you know they were teenagers, like high school teenagers. They didn't want little preteens around. So they told me like, nah, like go away. We don't want you to hang out with us. And at the time, I was kind of skinny, but not super skinny. But I was skinny enough to where I could like climb things, and I had strength enough because I was a volleyball player. And I would climb the roof of the trailer and sit up there and call my friends, and I would talk to them all night. So I was gonna call my friend Michael, and I had the urge to like look towards the back of my uncle's house because he lived next door, and I saw a black goat. And my uncle had goats, he had sheep, he had horses, cows, pigs, chickens, you know, he had the whole farm. And
oh my god.
Yeah. And I was like, I know for sure he doesn't have a black goat.
Yikes.
So I was like, where did that come from? And it's like, it makes like eye contact with me, right?
Oh, what the?
So I like got scared. Like I got that feeling.
Like this thing knows I'm looking at it. Yeah.
And I was like. Oh.
And that's impossible because you're far away.
So I looked away, and then I was like, okay, I need to look again. Like I felt like I had to.
Like, nah, that wasn't real, right?
So then I turned to look at that direction again, and it's closer.
What the?
Yeah. And I was like, is this actually happening right now? Like, I hadn't even called my friend yet because I was going to call him, and that had freaked me out. And I looked down to where my sister and her friend are at, and they don't even notice it. So I'm like, okay. And they're talking about boys and stuff, like, you know, teenagers, right?
Yeah.
And they were talking about how they wanted to go to the store to get some Smirnoffs or whatever. Because they were already like 18, 19. And I was like, how do they not see this? You know? Because I was seeing it. And then when I looked up from looking at them, it got even closer. And then it made a noise that for sure does not come out of a goat. You know what I mean?
I don't know. Those things sound pretty
like,
weird sometimes.
It was like this weird, like growl, like gurgle type sound. And that's when they heard it. And they turn to look and they see it too. And they get up real quick and then run inside. Like they didn't even remember that I was out there. But I jumped down. I ended up like hurting my ankle because I had already like dislocated and stuff. Remember? I told you guys that I hurt my ankle. Well, when I jumped off, I hurt myself some more. And I was like, oh, whatever. Like I made my way into the trailer, locked the door. And I told my sister, I'm like, you guys saw that, right? And she goes, yeah. And she's like, it had red eyes. Like she saw its eyes. And her friend goes, yeah, I'm pretty sure that was the devil.
No, some type of devil.
And I was just like, that was creepy. Like, I had never seen an animal like that, you know? Like, I have never seen a black goat before.
Creature of that name.
Yeah, and then, like, the next morning I told my uncle, and he's like, I don't have a black goat, and neither does the neighbor. And I'm like, well, where did it come from? And he goes, is it still here? And I'm like, I don't think so. And he checked and everything, and he said that where we saw it, he actually saw, like, hoof prints, but they didn't look like normal, like, goat prints.
They're
Like, it had extra, like, toes, like, extra hoof.
What the?
You know what I mean? Like, it was like that. Instead of,
What?
like, just the two.
Like, yeah.
You know? It was like that. And he said that he called his friend who knew a priest who went and, like, did some kind of prayer or something. And after that, I never saw it again.
Man,
It was scary, though.
that's... Man, your stories are getting worse.
Everywhere was different, you know, like at the apartment that I told you guys about, I would just hear that noise, and then furniture would move around, and that thing that happened with my cousin when he jumped out of the room and stuff, but nothing really like crazy other than that little
You mean
girl.
crazy? That's all
Other
crazy.
than the little girl that he saw that looked like me with the blacked out eyes, but that was like the only like demonic thing that ever happened there. You know?
I mean, the goat, man.
No, I mean at the apartments.
Oh, well, yeah.
But the goat was at my uncle's ranch, like, because we lived next to it.
No, I feel like your family's haunted, bro. Like, you're cursed.
That's what
Somebody did something to you guys, and you're, like, just cursed with
It is insane, the stuff
monsters.
that happened, like, there. I mean, there was also times where, like, at my aunt's house before we moved out of it, at my uncle's house, like I told you, there was like that third restroom or second restroom, whatever, that was where the back door was like in this little hallway, and then it was the restroom, and there was this door that it had that lock where if you poked a needle or through the little hole, it would unlock the door if someone needed to go to the restroom. So I was showering, and I didn't hear it open or anything, but I was showering, and I heard my mom's voice call out to me, and she said, Kathy. And I go, yeah, I'm in the shower. What do you need, Mom? Nothing. And she's like, are you there? And I'm like, yeah. Like, what do you need? Like, I'm showering. I'm almost out. No response after that. And then, again, I heard her call out my name. And I was like, I was getting annoyed because I was like, I'm answering you. Why aren't you answering me back? You know? So I turned off the shower, got out. No one was in there. The door was still locked and everything. So I get dressed, go to my mom's room, and I'm like, were you just in the restroom and locked the door and whatever? And she's like, no, I've been in my room this whole time. Why? And I'm like, because I heard you talking to me. And she's like, I wasn't talking to you. So that was like another, like one of my first like mimic instances. Another one was another time I had like a mimic thing happen when I was that young. It was Easter, and my aunt and my mom had me and my cousin helping them with like food, like to take it out. And all the family wasn't there yet. My dad and my uncle were out back getting the barbecue pit ready and stuff. And my aunt and my mom decided to leave to go get sodas or something. And me and my cousin didn't know that they had left. And we distinctly heard my mom and my aunt call out to us saying, hurry up, we need the food that they had made, which was like the rice, the potato salad, and stuff like that. And we're like, oh, we're going. And you know Mexican moms are like, como que, or whatever, like, don't you sigh at me kind of attitude, you know?
No spax ass.
So we were like, okay, whatever. And then my aunt's voice clearly said, como que whatever, ándale, like hurry up. So we're like, oh, we're going. And we go outside. They weren't there. They were not outside. So me and my cousin were just looking at each other like, okay, did they just like leave? And when we said that,
disappeared.
We see my aunt's van coming around the corner. And they come, they park, and they're like, what are you guys doing just standing there? Like, put the food on the table. And we're like, weren't you guys just calling out to us to come bring the food out? And my mom's like, what are you talking about? We've been gone for 10 minutes. We went to the store. And we're like, no, we heard you guys. And she's like, we literally just got back. Like, we were gone for 10 minutes. So we were just like, okay. Like, we clearly heard them talking to us.
That's happened. I mean, it sounds like it's that specifically happens to you a lot.
Yeah.
Like, something is really trying to get your attention.
Oh, yeah.
It's always with you. It involves
I'm either with somebody or by myself.
And someone's just there to experience it with you.
Like, there's been times where it's happened to me when I'm by myself. Like how I told you guys, I don't like going out back alone. But one night I had to. And, because I was watching Eric's work clothes. You were still working with him at Stanley, but I was washing his pants, and I was like, oh, I have to go outside to put them to dry, and whatever. And my sister and her husband, like, you know, they smoke pot. So they would constantly go in and out of the house to go do that. So I was like, maybe one of them's out there and I don't have to be alone. So I'm walking out there, and I could clearly see my brother-in-law sitting at the table that they would sit at when they would just chill out there and do their thing.
Yeah.
And I could see his arms, I could kind of see his hair because he has long hair like Eric. And his hair's like this, like dirty blonde, you know, like it's blonde and brown. So I was like, oh, cool, Jason's outside. I go, hey, Jason, what's up? And he goes, oh, nothing much. Was just waiting on Tracy. Like, I had a full-on conversation before I actually made it to the actual doorway. And I go, oh, she's not outside smoking with you? She doesn't want to or what? And he goes, no, she's coming. I'm like, oh, okay. And then as soon as I walked through the actual threshold of the door, he wasn't there. Like, I was talking to myself.
Supposedly.
Yeah, so I got freaked out, threw Eric's clothes in the dryer really quick, forgot to throw in a dryer sheet, turned it on, and ran inside. And when I got to the front door, my brother-in-law opened the door with my sister. They were barely going outside together. And I go, please tell me you were just out here, Jason. And he's like, no, we're barely getting out right now. And I'm like, no, seriously, like, I had a whole ass conversation with you. And he's like, no, you didn't. I just barely got up from bed to come outside. And he's, because of his, like, stuff that he has going on with him, like, mentally, like, there's days where he'll, like, sleep for a couple hours or a couple minutes, wake up, go outside, go to sleep, wake up, go outside, like, you know? So he was like, I was literally just taking a nap. We're barely coming outside. Like, I swear I was not outside right now. And I'm like, okay. And sometimes it would happen, like, if it wasn't him that I was seeing and talking to, it would be my sister. If it wasn't my sister, it would be
Your mom.
that other person, you know?
Or your dad.
Or, like, yeah, sometimes I would even see my mom standing at the dryer getting my dad's clothes. And the closer I would get, she would vanish. Like, it wasn't her. Like, there would be nobody there. The door of the dryer wasn't open. The washer wasn't open. Nothing. Like, it happens a lot.
You know, that's crazy, but you know what, like, kind of just came to my head? That one thing, like, I hope this never happens to you. I pray to God, please don't let this happen to you. But one day, you have a full-blown conversation with yourself. And maybe not a full-blown conversation, but you're going to hear yourself calling you. Because I've heard that happen before.
Yeah, that's...
And it's like, what? How come I hear my voice calling me? That's crazy right
I've
there.
seen TikToks of that happening.
Yeah.
And, like, it has happened one time.
Oh, so it has happened already.
Just once, but, like, I didn't want to admit it to myself that it happened. You know what I mean?
You did the Eric.
That's scary.
You played the, that's what I'm saying. That's
Because
like the worst
when
of
it's
the
your
worst.
own voice, like, that's
You
the
know
scariest
that's not
thing
them.
ever.
Yeah.
Like, it can't be you, you're you know? But it happened at that house that we're at now. I think it probably was around the first year we were there. So 2009, 2010. And I was home alone because I was sick. So I didn't go to school. My mom wasn't home because she was at my grandma's house, her mom's house. My dad was at work. My sister and her husband, they were doing college at the time, so they weren't home. And my brother was living with his baby mama at that time. So I was alone. And I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna shower because I don't feel good, because I was feeling sick. And I couldn't figure out why. Like, I felt lightheaded, woozy, nauseous, and I couldn't understand why. And my solution anytime I feel like that is to take a hot shower to relax my body, and if I need to puke, it'll help me throw up. And I felt like I needed to, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna take a hot shower. So I'm taking a hot shower, and like I started to feel like really weak but relaxed. So you know how when you get like that, it's like you're falling asleep?
Yeah.
And I heard myself say, hey, wake up. And I was like, what? Like, was that in my head? Like, did I say that to myself in my head? And I was like, okay, whatever. And our shower, it has like this little seat that you could sit on. So I was sitting on it. And I'm like, okay, that was weird, whatever, right? So I'm sitting there and I start to like relax again, and my eyes are like shutting, like if I'm gonna pass out. And I heard, didn't you hear what I said? Wake up. And it was my voice again. And this time I woke, like, got startled by it.
Up,
yeah, that's what got me, like. And the curtain we had, I'm getting chills remembering, but the curtain we had was kind of see-through. And I saw a shadow, my body type, my height, everything, standing there. I got so scared, I swung the curtain open really fast. There was nothing there.
Classic movies.
And I was just like, my heart was pumping like crazy. And then I heard the front door open and close, and it was my mom and my little sister. So I was just like, you know, like, good, they're home. And I told her what happened, and she's like, that's crazy. Like, are you sure you heard that? Like, that was, I mean, you can't hear yourself. Like, that's crazy. And I was like,
tell me about it.
I'm like, I'm for real. Like, I heard that, and I saw, like, me standing outside of my curtain. Like, I could even kind of tell, like, the facial features. Like, it was me.
I don't know, with that one, I feel like your subconscious was trying to tell you to wake up. Maybe something bad was gonna happen. If
I don't know.
like, I don't know. Maybe you would have slipped and hit your head and drowned in like 1 inch of water. I don't know.
I mean, our shower doesn't have a tub, but
I mean, I don't know.
But the thing is, like, it felt.
But it felt bad?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know.
So I think maybe my mom and my sister getting home was like the perfect timing, because it literally happened. Like, I swung the curtain open, and like maybe a second or two later, like, my mom opened the door of the main house. Like,
you know, that's weird. That always happens. It always ends abruptly.
Yeah.
And you just left there like, what?
Yeah.
Like, you don't have time to process it.
Mm-hmm.
You never do. Until after the matter, when you're trying to like
you're just sitting there trying to figure out like what
and you're like, yeah, but then you're kind of like, yeah, no, I don't want to think about this.
Yeah, and I didn't want to like. I don't think I've ever told Eric about that one, but yeah, it was scary.
That okay, so you never.
But that was like the one and only time it's ever happened, thankfully.
That's why I'm kind of saying, like, maybe it was like a subconscious thing, like, hey, wake up, you can't be falling asleep in here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you did see something. Did look like you, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was. I don't know. It was.
Were you like pre-diabetic at the time, or already diabetic?
No, not. That didn't happen until I was like 16.
Or how old were you at that time?
I was like barely 15.
Oh, but it was already happening then.
Maybe.
Because it happens over the years.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you were like in the early stages of pre-diabetic.
Yeah, well, I had told my grandma, and my grandma's like, sometimes that when things like that happen, even if it feels like it's something bad and it's yourself sometimes, she says that it could be like our future self, like
trying
coming
to
through.
help you.
And I'm like, how does that even work? And she told me like, hey, like time
is not what we think it is.
She's like, she believed in like the whole different dimensions, different timelines, different worlds type thing.
Yeah, there's something.
So she told me like it could have been you from another like
I'm saying, maybe it was just like your subconscious.
Yeah.
And like, since you're like special,
special,
the way you are, you actually got to see yourself instead of just hearing like a hey, wake up.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, because I've heard like there's stories like that where someone's like on the verge of death or something, but there's always something like, no, wake up. You need to wake up.
Yeah.
You need to get out of here.
Yeah, that's what happened to me when I had my appendicitis. Remember I told you guys that in my, like, dream state, I guess, because my mom told me that they told her I died for like a minute, maybe 2 minutes. But when that happened, I was in a white room. I saw my grandpa, the one that he never met any of us. I just saw his like silhouette, and he told me like, it's not your time yet, you need to go. And when he said that,
yeah, I feel like it was that moment.
Yeah,
like
when he said
moments.
that, I woke up and I was in a white room, so that freaked me out. And I started pulling out IVs because I was freaking out, and there was like blood going down my arms.
Yikes.
And my mom and the nurses had to like pin me down, and they're like, "You're in the hospital, you're okay."
Chill out.
Yeah, so I was like, and I told my mom, and she's like, "Yeah, well, that's when she told me that they told her that I had died for like a minute, 2 minutes, something like that." And I was just like, "Oh, so it was real then? Like I did see Grandpa, and he told me to go back."
Hey, wake up.
He's like, "It's not ready. You're not ready.
It's not time. You're not to flip you over. Then you're ready."
Get a little golden.
Yeah, you need to get some.
Oh yeah, but
You toast your buns.
see, and then I think we have like a little sneaky spirit in our house, because like things are always moving from where you leave them.
Those are called familiar spirits, and those are not good.
I don't know, but like my mom will leave her phone like by the stove, right, like on the counter, and she'll turn around and get something from the fridge, and it'll be on the opposite side of the stove, on the other counter.
Yep, that's a familiar spirit.
Or the salt, she'll just barely use it, put it back on the little spot on the stove where she puts it, and then it'll be in front of the microwave. Or the spatulas that she's using to mix the egg or the bacon or whatever she's making, she'll leave it leaned on the pan, and it'll be flipped the other way around.
That's happened to you?
Yeah.
Everybody in the house?
Like with me, most of the time it's my phone. Like I'll leave it, say I leave it in the restroom, like on the thing where we leave our toilet paper, because we have this like little cabinet where we put all the toilet paper in, so you can put stuff on top of the cabinet. And I'll leave it there, do my thing, get out, and I'm like, crap, I left my phone in the restroom, let me go get it. And I'll be there looking, can't find it. It'll be in the kitchen, or it'll be in my room, or it'll be on the other shelf that's in the restroom where we put our towels. It's like, I know I didn't put it there, you know what I mean?
Dumb. I'm not gonna pay attention to it.
Or like my soda, I'll have it facing like a certain way, like say it's like this, right? And you can see the logo of the soda. Like I'll take a sip, put it back, be watching whatever I'm watching, and when I go like this to get it, it'll be like over here, or it'll be turned the other way around,
Yeah, like,
or it'll be more towards the end of the table.
It's like a noticeable difference.
Yes, you could tell that, like, yeah, I didn't leave that there.
I've seen that, like, on live. Like, there's even, like, have you seen that video where, like, these two live broadcasters, and they're talking, and his mug literally just goes...
Yeah.
And he was just like...
I've seen those.
Did you guys see that? And I was like, damn, dude.
One time I actually had a spatula, like, fly at me.
What the heck?
Yeah.
The goat. Shut up.
And then what's funny, though, like, it wasn't anything bad. We think it was my grandma, because we were at her house. She had just passed, like, a couple months earlier. And I was telling my aunt something, because she's like, oh, you and Eric need to have a baby or whatever, right? And I go, nah, I don't want no little bastards following me around. And when I said that, the spoon just flew our way. And she goes, that was your grandma getting mad at you for calling your future kids bastards. I was like, oops, sorry.
I don't know.
That was funny.
I mean, that's a good positive way to look at it.
I hope that's what it was, and
But
nothing
I'm
bad.
just saying, there's things called familiar spirits, and they
Mhm.
know your whole family's history. They'll tell you stuff that you think you don't even know, other people know, and you
Yeah.
just be like, how do you know that?
Mhm.
Like, I think we've discussed this before in the first podcast,
Yeah, I think so.
where that's how the fortune tellers know your past,
Mhm.
because their familiar spirit
Are telling them.
is
Mhm.
communicating with your familiar spirit, and they
passing
tell
on the
them,
information.
yeah, and then that's how they trick you.
Yeah, like, well, you know that uncle I told you guys about, with the one that.
I feel like that guy has a lot to do with all of
Yeah,
this.
let me finish.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm just
Yeah,
saying.
like, yeah, he does, for real. On my
I
dad's side.
think
of the
he
family,
brought
for sure.
this onto your family.
But, well, I mean, he cursed us, so yeah. But when he had passed away, maybe a couple months after that, my aunt got married. and that was his niece, my grandma's daughter.
Oh, okay. I'm like, how was he?
And so we were on our way after the wedding ceremony. You know how you go to the party? Well, my uncle, the one that lived on the ranch, him and his wife, gave me a ride because I was a bridesmaid, which I did not want to be. But they're like, you know what? Let's eat some Burger King because I don't want anything of what your aunt has at her wedding because she had a lot of like vegan stuff and all that, and none of us wanted that. Like the only thing that was like edible at her wedding that everybody liked was that there was this lady in the family that made like this chicken chipotle stuff, and it was really good. But so we went to the Burger King, right? And my cousin, the one that got grabbed by the foot, we were in line with my uncle getting food, and my uncle goes, I'm gonna go to the restroom, here's the money, just this is what you're gonna order and pay. So we're like, okay. There was this gentleman that came into the Burger King, identical to my uncle that passed away. Like everything, all the features.
That must have been weird.
Same height, same face, everything. He looked at us, at both of us, me and my cousin, because we're the ones that saw him. And he winked at us, and then just walked through the wall.
What the heck, man?
So we're pretty sure he visited us. And we turned around to see if my aunt and my other aunt and uncle had seen him too. And they were all looking the same direction.
They see him?
Yeah.
We
all saw him.
You all experienced that.
Yeah.
And did you even talk about it after?
No, they were too scared about it.
You're all just like, that didn't happen. We're not talking about this.
So we're pretty sure it was him because like.
I mean, it looked just like it was.
Yeah.
I mean, him in some kind of form because I don't know, like, who knows what he did.
Yeah. No,
but
yeah.
he had some kind of connection there.
He like winked at us, did like a smirk, and then just walked through the wall.
Almost died.
Yeah, it was creepy.
Jeez, man. You and your stories, I mean, people love these damn stories. They're real. This is authentic. We're not making up nothing.
Yeah.
Like, this happened to you.
And it's crazy. Like, a lot of stuff happens. There's still a lot of stuff, like, I haven't told you yet. You know?
Hear that, folks? We got
future
more content.
stuff, you know? But, and then there's stuff that happens, like, just recent also. You know what I mean? Like, that story I told you when we were at Panda Express. That dream one.
Okay, the dream. We'll save that for the dream.
Yeah, we'll save that for that. But like,
we got that coming up.
Crazy things happen, and it's, I don't know. Like yesterday, I didn't even want to sleep with my light off. I put, you know, the show Wednesday on Netflix, the Addams Family one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have that season on my phone, so I just play it on a loop, and I left that playing all night because I felt like something was watching me all night.
That's not a great feeling at all.
No. And I told my little sister, I'm like, love me enough to bring me my lamp, because Eric bought me a lamp after I had that sleep paralysis, because I couldn't sleep without any kind of like light in my room for a while after that happened.
Oh, bet. Jeez.
And still sometimes now, like, I'll get this like eerie feeling and I want some kind of light in my room, so I'll play a movie on my TV because it's a really big TV. But yeah, so last night I was trying to fall asleep, and no matter what, if I tried to face the wall away from like the door side of where the door is at,
yeah,
I would get like chills and start hyperventilating and feeling like something was gonna be there if I was facing away from it. So then I would try to sleep on my right side, which I don't normally do, and I just couldn't get comfortable at all. And then when I did finally fall asleep, like, I heard a whisper. I couldn't make out what it said, so I thought maybe it was Eric, but when I looked at my phone, Wednesday was still playing, and I'm like, it wasn't the show, because I know it word for word, because there's times where I'll just watch it every day for like a week or so, and leave it on a loop, so where I'm hearing it in my head as I'm falling asleep, you know? So I was like, that doesn't happen in that show, so I was like, what was that? And I looked at the time, it was 3-something in the morning, and I was like, okay. And then I tried to lay down again to fall asleep, and I was finally drifting off, and it felt like something shifted in my bed.
Like, real quick.
Yeah, like you know how when you can feel the bed kind of like jiggle because you feel like someone's getting on it, or you're getting up and you can feel like the bounce. Like that's what I felt. And I thought maybe my little sister opened my door and let my dog in, because they sometimes sleep in the hallway, and if she sees that they're by my door, she'll let them in if I'm asleep. So I thought maybe she had let Mocha in. So I stretched my legs out like that, like spread out to see if I could feel her.
Yeah.
And I couldn't feel anything.
Damn, that must have freaked you out.
Yeah, it did. So I turned on the light for a while and fell asleep. And then I guess my mom or my dad turned it off because it was off when I got home. But yeah, it was crazy. So I'm probably going to bring my lamp into my room tonight, because last night I just couldn't.
Yeah, it sucks.
It does. I hate it. Yeah.
You gotta figure something out how to help you.
I don't know. This never ending. I like in the groups when I was posting stuff, I was telling people like, oh, I'm used to it, because like I am, right? But it doesn't mean it doesn't scare me. You know what I mean?
I mean, you never really get used to it.
Like there's this guy who's like, oh, I don't believe you, and I'm like, well, you can believe what you want to believe. Like,
I don't care.
and the admins actually removed him because in their rules, you know, you're not supposed to be rude to people, like to their stories. Like if you don't believe them, move on. You know, that's one of the rules.
Yeah, like take
and
it
he
and
was
leave
like,
it, dude.
he left this whole rant. I'm amazed you didn't see it, but he was going on this rant about how I'm a fake, I'm a liar, like that stuff's not real, like you don't know what real ghosts are until you experience this and that. And I'm like, if you go and listen to our podcast, I'm like, you'll see that what I'm saying is true. Like I have a lot of people who have like messaged me on Facebook and been like, oh, I did give your podcast a go, and like I got such chills listening to the stories that you were saying, and your friend, and then the story of the Harlingen and this and that. Like they'll tell me, you know, like I felt it, like I know what you're saying is for real, you know. And like this guy was just like, no, you're a liar. I'm like,
that guy's
well, you
delusional.
can feel however you want to feel. And
I'm sorry,
like,
buddy, but
like,
this stuff is real, man.
Yeah, it's like I told Eric.
It's not like she wants it to be real.
No. And I even told him, I was like, you think if this wasn't real, I'd be saying it just to say it? Like, no. I'm like who the heck wants to be saying, oh yeah, this happened to me, like just for kicks?
Like if she had a choice, people, she would rather not this happen to her.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like, you know what I mean? Nobody chooses this life. It kind of, well,
I mean, there's some people that enjoy it and invite it in.
Yeah, like the stupid people who have 2 dolls that play hide and seek.
Ugh.
I mean, they're called Wiccans. Witches,
yeah, I mean, there's people that like
they want this stuff in their life.
They invite it in, you know, they enjoy it.
Because they make their packs and whatnot. But then there's people
like me who are like, can't I just live a normal life? Like, I mean, there's times where I'm walking in Walmart and I'll see something and be like, okay, is that for real, or is that like a real person? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of times where I even question myself, where I'm like, okay, what I'm feeling, is that for real, or like?
Oh, but you get that feeling though. So yeah. It's kind of like you already know something.
Like at the concert, at the show, Eric was just staring at me because I was like staring off into like the abyss essentially, and he's like, what? And I'm like, what? Like I snapped back to like reality, you know, and I was like, what? And he goes, what are you looking at? And I go, oh, nothing. And it was when the last band was playing, the one that we left with. They were playing
right before we left.
But where we were standing when we were watching you guys is where I was staring, and there was no one standing there. But you know how Tommy was saying that it was people say that it's haunted there.
Actually, no, I didn't hear what you guys were talking about.
Yeah, he was saying that the owner was telling him that it's haunted there. And that's why him and Ryan were like, did you feel anything in there? Like, at all? And I thought that the way I was feeling in there was just me being, like, sick. Because I've been feeling sick for days. But you know how I told you sometimes I can walk into somewhere and I'll just feel, like,
sick,
nauseous or dizzy or unfocused or whatever. That's how I felt the whole time when we first got in there and you guys started playing. Like, if you pay attention to the videos I posted of you guys, like, you could see where my hands, like kind of wobbling and
weak.
Stuff because and I thought maybe it was just me feeling sick, whatever, because of my diabetes. But as soon as we went outside, it went away. So when they were telling me like, oh, did you feel? I thought that's what it was. Until me, you, and Eric went back in, and I felt it again. And then you know how we were standing by the door? You had left to go do what you were gonna do, and that's when I started facing over there because I felt like something was there. I couldn't see it, but I could feel it.
It's kind of like you had a bad feeling, and then you just got confirmation.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as we went outside, they started talking about it. You're like, okay, so this explains. This could be a possibility.
Yeah. Like, that's why I told him, I was like, no, I didn't feel nothing.
Yeah, because you were saying that at first, too.
Yeah, because I thought maybe I was just feeling sick, but the longer we were outside, the better I was feeling, other than, like, feeling sticky and sweaty because it was hot. Yeah. But I was feeling less, like, queasy and, like, all I was feeling now was, like, because we were hungry, you know, because we want to go eat, but that was it. Yeah. And then as soon as me, you, and Eric went back in, they came back.
Yeah, I kind of felt bad going back in because I know you didn't want to be in there. And then Eric came too.
Yeah.
And like, you're not going to stay outside by yourself.
Yeah.
No,
like,
but yeah.
No, like the air was nice and everything, but that just felt off.
I don't know.
I mean, I didn't see anything, but I could feel it.
We're going to play there again. Maybe you'll get to
Maybe I'll see something next time.
Yes, guys, go check out my band. I'm going to shamelessly plug this. Viber Haven.
Yes.
I'm in a band. I play the
They're
drums.
The breast.
What she said. So there's that. Enjoy it or not.
Put a little link to the music video.
I won't go that far. But I will spell it V. I'm just kidding. Yeah. I mean, we're a good hour into this, I guess.
Oh wow.
I think this is a good stopping point.
Yeah.
It is late, and maybe we shouldn't have done this so late. Because now it's dark, and then, I mean, it's been dark, but like, it's about to be.
Hey, well, at least you have nothing in your apartment, and I've confirmed that for you.
Oh, I'm good. I got Jesus Christ in my
Even
life.
With all these toys that could move randomly at night.
No, these are my friends. I'm a collector, hoarder. I have a problem. But I mean, this is my childhood, man. So I mean, I love these things.
Yeah.
I couldn't have all this when I was a kid.
I'm gonna get you one of those hide and seek dolls, though. Okay?
Don't you ever! I will burn that thing alive. I will rebuke it in the name of Christ.
Heck no! I will never ever go near one of those things again. And you know the crazy part is, it randomly vanished one day. My hand could not find it.
You know what'd be crazy? Like.
If one day it ends up at my house.
No. If your aunt ever runs into the person that, she said she gave the other one to someone,
She's
right?
like a niece, I think.
Imagine this. I'm going to say this right now. Your aunt tells you, remember that doll I had and it disappeared? Well, guess.
She has it.
Well, apparently it's at her house and they were both there now.
Oh my God.
Imagine.
If that happens, if I talk to her and she tells me that, I'm gonna scream.
I already know what's gonna happen. You're gonna be like, "Hey, Thea, remember this?" And she's like, "Oh yeah," and it disappeared, right?
So has it.
And she's like, "Oh, it showed up at my who was it? It showed up at my niece's house one day. Isn't that cool?" And you're gonna be like, "No."
Heck no.
I bet that's gonna happen, man.
Oh my God! Now I have to ask her.
So I'm telling you, I think this is something's happening here. You're gonna find out something you wish you didn't.
Oh, I'm scared now. You see what you're doing? I don't think I'm gonna sleep tonight, guys.
See, it left you on a cliffhanger, huh? So you guys better tune in next time to the Valley of Shadows Paranormal Podcast with your hosts Matt and Katt.
Katt.
You know what I'm saying? You guys will find out if this comes true. Hey, man, I have a strong feeling about this. I may not have like your abilities, but like I get these things. I get these like images in my head, like the story kind of unfolds in front of my mind. Like, I don't know, I got like a...
Like when I was telling you were seeing it.
Yeah, like I can feel it too and see it. Alright guys, thank you. Thank you all for liking, subscribing. Everything's been going up like I've said in the past, and it's awesome. Thank you guys. Appreciate all the love and joining us in this podcast. Taking time in your day to like listen to us. We really appreciate it.
Yes.
Anything from you, Katt?
Well, I'm grateful for all the people that came to our podcast. I mean, I posted about it and then there they are. I mean, I didn't think I was going to get that many people to actually, like, come and listen, you know. So it's
Yeah, she
it's
does all the
amazing.
work around here. I'm just the guy who does.
I'm the promoter.
She's the PR. I'm just the guy who does all the other boring stuff.
I am grateful because, like, you know how I told you, like, a lot of people think I'm crazy, and these people are actually like, this is cool, like, or I've even had people be like, oh, I'm like that too, or I have stories.
Yeah,
like, you know?
That's why we did this, man, to make connections and try to help
And now
people.
I feel it's slightly less crazy. There's more people like that out there, so.
Oh yeah, I mean you see it all the time. It's like
It's great.
it's on TikTok, like you said. It's on Facebook.
Yeah.
I watched this guy called Slapped Ham, and all he does is just play videos of randomness, and it's mostly just creepy stuff. And that's where I see all the weirdest things, and I'm just like, yikes. I wonder if Katt went through this, and I wonder if Katt experienced that. And that's what I think. Every time I see something weird, I'm like, I wonder if Katt
you should write them down and ask me. We'll have a Q&A, and then I'll give you the answers.
Or maybe you guys can have Q&A.
Oh, yeah. You guys should leave some comments. Ask me some questions. I'll let you know if it's happened.
And on that topic, I appreciate all you guys who did leave comments saying that you guys really liked the podcast. And especially this one guy, I'm sorry. I didn't get your name beforehand. I should have. But yeah, thanks, man, for liking that last one we uploaded. You really liked it, apparently. And I put a little heart on your thing. Thanks, I appreciate that comments. I mean, every feedback's great, even if it's not nice. But I mean, whatever. I mean, I'll take it as creative criticism, whatever.
Yeah.
I'll learn from my mistakes. And you guys point them out, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, this is new. It's like a month in this podcast, probably almost 2 already. And I mean, we're only gonna try to get better and improve everywhere, like I've said before.
Yeah.
So there's that, and then do a lot of collaborations. We got a few in
and try to get some more videos.
All this videos
made.
up.
Yeah.
I'm trying my best. We're trying our best. We have our own personal lives outside of this. So.
Yep.
Especially me, like you guys know, I'm in a band, and that takes time out of my day.
Time.
And other stuff and work, of course. Anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate you, and have a good one.
Yep.
Laters.